Hi, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns. You watch my YouTube channel where I play amazing tabletop role playing games with friends. This is Star Wars Saturdays, my ongoing anthology campaign of tabletop RPGs set in the universe of Star Wars. Now, none of these games are officially Star Wars RPGs. We hack up a bunch of indie, small press, and OSR tabletop RPGs and tell different stories every month in Star Wars. The time frame for this is generally just after Return of the Jedi, because the inciting incident was the death of Emperor Palpatine and the destruction of the second Death Star, which is known as Death Star 2 in Wikipedia language. I don't know. It's the Death Star. It got blown up. And this game is last Imperial fleet. So there was a fleet, one Star Destroyer, and a bunch of other ships that were Imperial or aligned to the Empire, took off fleeing Coruscant and have been heading across the cosmos, pursued by the rebels, the Rebel Alliance, as it were, as they are the last Imperial fleet. So we are on our third full session, and we've had quite a bevy of things happen to our intrepid and not completely lovable protagonists. So let's go around the horn and remind everyone about our characters. And also, if you could introduce yourself in the so doing. I'm going to start from the left-hand side of our character keeper, heading towards the right, which means that Stephen, kick it off. If you could introduce yourself and tell us about your character.
Hi, my name is Steven and my pronouns are he, him. And today I'm playing Lieutenant Lada Kana, whose call sign is Revenge, or Rev for short. She prefers Rev. Her pronouns are she, her. And Rev is a survivor of Endor after the second Death Star was blown up. She was kind of taken in a little bit by the Imperials there, who had built a base, and she and her family had been stranded there, and they kind of made their own village with some other people, and eked out a living there on the moon of Endor. And uh whenever the Imperials came, they brought supplies and that kind of stuff, and paid the locals to teach them things like how to fly in and out of the big trees that are there and fly fast, and what the lay of the land was like. So that's how they kind of made their living as she came into adulthood. And she was away kind of taking a flight test or exam kind of thing whenever the rebel terrorists destroyed the second Death Star, and thus destroyed her village as well, and the whole Imperial base that was there on Endor. So she has a great deal of hate for the terrorists that call themselves the rebels. And if I lay that on too thick, just X card me and I'll dial it back, no problem.
Cool. Thank you so much, Stephen. I really appreciate that reminder of why Rev is all out for revenge. Next up is Greg. Introduce yourself, tell us about your character.
Hey everyone, I'm Greg. I use he, him pronouns. I am playing Tagashiya, who is a Chiss Imperial assassin. She uses she, her pronouns. Tagashiya is stirs the pot a lot. Tagashiya, let's see, she has killed Marwyn Ganzen's grandmother, took evidence that Jaina led a rebel spy to which of the Odoks? Hold on. Two, yes, Odak Vander II, who is trying to manipulate that to bring Jaina into the fold with the cloning. Who is it? The faction again? The Rekindlers. Oh geez, we ended on Tagashiya calling Jaina on her shit about not always being there, and sort of like going into this strange fugue state on occasion. I think that covers most of it. Yeah.
Sure
She
does.
has the rank of recruit because she has no official Imperial rank.
Yes, thank you. I love being reminded of that because I think that is great. Next up is Jex.
Hi, excuse me. I'm Jex. I use they, them pronouns, and I am playing Lieutenant Commander Jaina Madar, who uses she or they pronouns. Jaina is our Scorpio playbook, kind of the Gaius Baltar of the crew, sleeper agent. It is unclear, I think, both to the audience and to me as a player, how much of that she's aware of. She knows something's going on. And yeah, some pretty complicated relationships with the other characters. I think the biggest thing right now is that I was confronted by Marwan Ganzen, who revealed that he had hired Tagashia to kill me, and then revealed a plan to kind of help me get promoted in the ISB. Jaina's a ranking member of the Imperial Security Bureau and head of the re-education division. And as Greg mentioned, Tagashia just called me on my shit, and I attempted to return the favor, and well, we'll find out how that went soon.
Indeed. And last but certainly not least, Sawyer.
Hello, I am Sawyer, also known as Ferret. My pronouns are yours. I don't care about them. And, well, I don't care about mine. I care about yours. And I am playing Marwan Ganzen, who uses he, him pronouns, who is a something era clone. He's been cloned lots of times, and due to some force sensitivity, he always remembers what the last one was doing up till the death. Maybe even a bit after the death. We don't know that yet. And he gets visions. He is the Gemini playbook. And last session, he was trying to kill Jaina to head off a vision until he realized that maybe it was supposed to come to be with the help of another rekindler telling him that a puppet leader might be great for them. And he also tried to get close to Tagashia, which was shut down very hard. And we shall see what else he gets up to this time.
Indeed. So we ended the session at the med bay where Lieutenant Commander Jaina Madar of the ISB had stepped into the med bay and ordered everyone out, so that she could speak privately with Tagashia. And Tagashia decided to reveal her knowledge that Jaina often entered a fugue state and did not seem to be fully aware of what she was doing. That didn't land as well as intended. And as I was earlier, we were looking at all of the past rolls. That's one of the things the online roller gives us, is a way to look back in the past. And that was a 4. And so what happens is you lay out that accusation to Gashia. There is a moment where Jaina, you were defensive. If we remember the ending of the last session, you were defensive. You definitely, of course, realize true or not, deny is the way of the ISB. But there's an itch, there's a tingle, there's a feeling of connection, of realization, of perhaps a little bit of awakening, knowing that what Tagashia says could be true. And then your secret's out. Of course, a white sheet of fear covers you. And Tagashia, you hold Jaina's eyes for a moment after that accusation. You've got this breathing apparatus you were told to use as you're recovering. And that's when you hear a particular noise. And the noise that you hear is the sound of a little mouse droid. It zips out from underneath your gurney, like the little bed where you are, and starts to zip away. And it's heading towards the exit.
Tagashia, she like reaches out. Is Jaina dressed sort of how they're dressed in the profile pic there?
I mean, probably not armor.
Okay.
More just like kind of officer.
Then
wear.
she grabs Jaina's shoulder and attempts to like push Jax aside, push Jaina aside, not Jax, push Jaina aside, to get beyond them and get to the mouse droid. Is Jaina gonna allow that? Fight back?
So, if I remember correctly, Tagashia had accused Jaina of being the one behind planting this mouse droid and trying to do some serious damage, which is not the case. But Jaina was sort of willing to leverage that to intimidate. But I think I'm so like dumbfounded. Like I'm already kind of taken aback from this accusation, and then this mouse droid actually shows up. No, I don't think that I resist you.
Nice. Yeah. So then, Tagashia, you're hoping to get up from the bed, chase after this mouse droid before it escapes, right?
Yeah, and I imagine Tagashia is like grabbing like some medical device that's like pointy and sharp, like a scalpel or something.
Oh, fun.
She's got to destroy this droid.
Nice. So let's take a look at our moves, because we got to make sure we can frame this into the right kind of moves. Shake off seems like the most likely, but there also could be, since you've got that little knife, maybe you're trying to engage in battle, but that one's that's also battle, like it's like big B battle, so probably shake off a threat. So let's have you go ahead and roll plus hard.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'm so good at that. It's a 0.
So good.
9. Yes.
Oh, nice. A 9. So are you gonna let that stand, or is anyone assisting?
I think this is a good time for me to wait helplessly.
Ooh.
Are you sure? Because you remember that the cost for waiting helplessly is 2 pressure.
Yeah, I'm only at 3. It'll only put me up to max. That's fine.
Say, 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay. All right. Just making sure that we're all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just kind of what I was saying before, just kind of like standing there, like what is going on. I'm trying to get my bearings.
Cool.
So maybe you're like even in the room, like, do I catch it before it even leaves the room and you're just watching me do this?
Okay. I think so. Yeah. On a 10 plus,
you get an XP for hitting your breaking point.
Yeah. Mark that XP for your breaking point. 10 plus, you're in full control. Take +1 forward and tell us what happens.
So she like launches forward, pushing Jaina out of the way, grabs this mouse droid as it's about to get through, slams it up against the wall really hard. And it's probably, I think Jaina sees a side of these poor mouse droids. Jaina sees a side of Tagashia that might be a little unnerving. Because she's using her sort of Imperial assassin speed and ruthlessness on this droid. Like her hollow hand like reaches in and rips out the innards of this droid, throws the shell aside, casts the other stuff, and like is looking down the hallway like there are more of these mouse droids.
Nice. All right. That is amazing. You grab hold of the mouse droid, rip it open, disassemble the thing before it's able to put out its feeble little shocker thing that it was hoping to zap you with. And
Can I do
yeah.
like seek out with that +1 forward? I'm trying to find evidence
Absolutely.
in this
That
mouse
is
droid.
perfect.
Okay.
I'm really curious though, like as you're starting
Mhm.
to seek out, what is Jaina doing after you saw Tagashia, who when you walked in was like, I have to use a breathing machine. I can't talk to you right now. And then like, whoa, Action Jackson up and tore into that mouse droid. So I think she may have been fibbing about her ailments. I'm just saying. But anyway, now she's done this crazy action, taken down a mouse droid. Could be batshit crazy, possibly, but maybe she's got a point. So what are you doing, Jaina?
I mean, initially I kind of like back up against a wall. And then I'm like, I think I sort of get ready to spring into action. I'm like, what can I do? How can I help? Which is a weird instinct to like come into play here. But I think that's sort of what happens.
Nice. I like it.
So yeah, Tagashia's got like the innards of the mouse droid. And like throws it down at Jaina's feet. Somebody's trying to kill us.
Yeah, that's going around, I think. I'm not I need you to know I'm not the one behind this. I don't When you told me about the mouse droid earlier, I didn't know what you were talking about, but you're right that there's something going on with me. But I don't know what it is, and I'm scared. I don't know why I'm telling you this. But I think I just sort of break down a little bit, and I'm trying to hit my breaking point of confess your doubts to another, openly revealing that you think you may be working for the enemy. I guess I'd maybe have to go a little bit further than I just did.
Yeah, give us a little more, but I love it. I love it.
I don't know anything about these mouse droids, but there was a bomb, and I don't know. I guess I'm only telling you because you helped me once, even if that came back to bite me in the ass. And you're pretty clearly more than you're letting on as well. I don't know exactly what this is, but I know that something that I was involved with happened right before the rebels attacked the fleet. And I don't know what to do.
Oh. Takashia is sort of taken aback by this sudden confession.
Yeah.
And I think she, you know, where a second ago she was pretty sure that Jaina was either trying to kill her or was trying to kill the entire fleet. I think there's this moment of realization that Takashia herself doesn't always have, you know, complete control of her faculties. Some would call it training, but it sort of becomes mechanical for her, and she pauses and goes, "They really messed us up, didn't they?"
I think that's an understatement.
Turned us into machines. I think I'm trying to reach out here.
I think so too. I think so too. Do it.
I think this is a significant doubt or fear that perhaps I am doubting the Empire for a brief moment.
No, of course not. No.
Of course not. Certainly not while Rev is around. Let's see. I get plus warm? No. Plus. Yeah.
Sorry.
Warm.
Reach out. Yeah,
I have such good luck with this.
you do. You're built.
That's an
for this.
8. That's an 8.
What? Cardinal move. Cardinal move. Mark that XP.
Mark that XP.
Okay, on a 7 to 9 for PCs. Oh, do you respond positively?
Yeah.
Okay, on a 7 to 9, choose one of you who erases one pressure. Just to be clear, Jada just did the thing to bump her down to 2.
To 2,
So,
yeah. No, I will have Jaina release the pressure. I think that is more interesting.
It makes sense narratively.
Yeah,
here, right,
Jaina's
to,
really
like,
come clean on something. Yeah. And we both
So
increase our
you're-
relationship. Yep.
Right. Yes, you do both. So you're saying that Jane is going to go down to 1 pressure. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Just making
yeah.
sure that we're on the same
Yeah.
page, or that I understand. I think both of you are on the same page. Now I'm on your page. Awesome.
I feel like, Star Wars would never do this, but Battlestar Galactica would, where this conversation would definitely lead to like Fortunate Son by CCR playing. Who's even in control anymore? With the Emperor dead, I mean, what are we even fighting for? Just survival? Survival of what?
I don't know. I worry where the rekindlers are taking us.
I think it's interesting here if, even though as part of the space CIA, Jaina doesn't know what Tagashi is talking about. Does that, I'm trying to think if that works. Have we said anything that would make that not make sense?
I think fair isn't the rekindlers are it's known
They're
that they're
known,
floating.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, they're okay.
Okay, maybe
Um,
not knowing the kind of extent of their power though. Actually, I think what we see is pieces coming together in Jaina's head, right? With this whole
Mhm.
interaction with Marwyn earlier. I think that's what this is.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. That feels earned.
I wonder. Ganzen came to me earlier. Well, as I told you, but he made an offer to me. Maybe we can make the best of this situation with the rekindlers. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but clearly we both feel under their thumbs.
I'm concerned that Marwyn's abilities are unnatural.
Nice. Is that a cut moment? Is that
I think so.
I think that's when we cut that scene, because that is a damn good finishing line. Let's pick up with Marwyn. Let's see. Where do we last have you, Marwyn? Where do we want to pick up?
I think we need to pick up with my session begin move.
Oh, let's do that. Thank you.
Let's see how this goes. Oh, that is an 8. I am going to mark 1 pressure to hold a vision.
Nice. We have one other start a session for someone, right?
Yeah. And if and or. I don't know if Jaina knows if they, well, Jaina.
Yeah, I think so, just where the action picks up. I don't know. I think it's more interesting if we don't do it.
Okay.
I don't know if we can
I'm
kind
with
of
you. I just didn't want to I didn't want you to feel like it was taken away from you. So
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think I can justify this in my head as still dealing with the fallout from the last one. So
that is very true. Okay, cool. So you've got a potential vision that you can throw out whenever you want. That sounds.
I have a great one, I think, this week when we get to it. But I think Marwin is going to. I mean, Rev just saved someone else again. Is being lauded as like this great and wonderful pilot and everything. Correct?
I think so.
Or at least like a few people are recognizing that she's done well. I mean, she's been given the medal and she saved that ship, even though no one saw the mouse droid go flying away besides them. Yeah, so I think Marwin is going to go check on Rev during this like tiny party.
Fun. Where would you be found, Rev?
I think I've gone to the rest of the pilots. I think I kind of went back to my bunk a little bit and found the rest of the pilots, and I think we're kind of roaming the halls, and I think we've been drinking. I've stemmed, and we're just kind of what's the right word? Rabble rousing a little bit. And I think whenever Marwin comes in, we all kind of salute.
And I think Marwin has like this. There's got to be some kind of Star Wars alcohol that is high shelf that it's pretty rare on the fleet, but this is a rare occasion.
I mean, do we want to be evil and say that it's like Alderani brandy?
Oh, that's perfect. And I think he just has like 2 glasses with him and looks at the pilots. Oh, that's not necessary. I came to enjoy my time, not be treated as at ease.
And they all kind of, elbow each other and, Marwin, what are you up to?
Well, not nearly as much as you have been, apparently. I came to congratulate you, and I think he sets the glasses down, pours out a generous amount of this never to be produced again alcohol.
And I think she, grabs it up and like swigs it, like just downs it, has no idea kind of what it is. It's like, yeah, congratulations are in order.
I know. If only you had driven this well when my grandmother's life was on the line.
Ooh.
I think I'm calling Rev on her shit to keep her in line.
Oh man. So just to set this, you're with a number of other pilots. So let's say that Lieutenant Rella Soul and Lieutenant Ramnan are here. Oh no, Ramnan got beat by Marwin, so that would be very different. So we'll say this: Ramnan's buddy Kandra. So it's Kandra, Rella, and a few others. So let's go ahead and have you do this lovely calling someone on their shit. Let's see how this goes, because I'm sure it'll go well. You're going to be rolling hard. Oh, and it's tell them what their problem is and what they need to do to convince you otherwise. We have to give a little bit of wiggle room. Oh my, that looks
think
like
I'm with that bit, and he's like switching around to his glass of the brandy, not even taking a drink yet. I assume that you've learned your lessons from this, that I can actually put my trust in you again. And I think I'm trying to get to you to prove to me that even with this drug use, you're like, that you're not a liability.
And So my problem is my drug use, and what I need to convince you is somehow convince you that I'm not a liability. So you
You're-
get two
I
options.
got 10 plus, so I think that gives you 2 options.
Okay.
Let's check.
Yeah,
So
it
that's-
says on a 10 plus, you're limited to the first 2 options. And if
Yeah, and
you
I
choose
think,
the first, you mark XP.
And I think like to this, Marwin does. I think Marwin's more concerned that like he wants to know that you're in control of the drugs. The drugs aren't in control of you. Is more than I think what he's aiming at. Like, you know, if you're a great pilot but you're just going to stim yourself to death, that's not an asset he can use. That's not a friend he wants to sink his emotions into.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, fine. So I'm going to choose option number 1, which is act to prove. Is that right? Act to prove you wrong by doing what you asked, and I'm going to say great. And I think I'm still in my flight suit, and I say come with me, and we're going to head out and take a little trip, and I'm going to use my piloting skills to show you that I'm okay.
Oh, and this is going to be a perfect time for me to trigger my vision, because I think as we're out, we're going to see what is going to be, and if I may add to this as we're out and, you know, being piloted excellently, I suppose. But
Hope so.
describe or highlight a challenging risk or opportunity for the fleet. If the fleet avoids the risk or seizes the opportunity, increase momentum by 1. As we're passing out, we see evidence of the Hutt cartel coming into our realm of orbit. It
Cool.
seems one of the factions at least is meeting with them.
Nice. Yeah. I like that a lot. How do we know?
I think, you know, if the Hutt cartel does not get the better of us, I think is the opportunity that we can seize, or the danger we're in.
Oh man. So evidently, there is an entire class of ship designs used by the Hutts, according to Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia, yet again. So we'll say that it's a dreadnought class heavy cruiser. There we go. That you guys see is out trailing far out of sensor range, but you're out far enough to where you can catch it, and you see that there is a ship from the fleet that is headed that way.
So I think the way that this looks on screen then is I think Rev is out and we're in one of the hunters. So it's very fast. And we're screaming through the different ships in the scene, you know, in the fleet. And what I'll do is I'll point out to you all the damage. So I'll basically flip the ship around, and I'll be like, see that scoring? That's where people are repairing from the terrorist attack that we just sustained. And, you know, we can get close. And as we're making this little tour of the fleet, that's whenever, you know, the radar picks up a ping. I'm like, that shouldn't be there. And we scream out, and that's whenever you see the dreadnought.
I think the dreadnought comes into Marwin's glasses, like the reflection of it before it hits the actual camera. Then I don't know, like we're panning away, like we see Rev in front of Marwin, and Marwin just reaches his hand out, like squeezes her shoulder. And, you know, that I think that's when like she gets the XP, when he realizes that, you know, this is great.
Nice. So you have an opportunity here, Rev. This is definitely not something that's on the up and up. You can do something about this, or you can continue on as if nothing's happened.
Yeah. So we both see this dreadnought class. I'm not sure I recognize what it is. Marwin would. And I think I defer to Marwin, and I'm like, I don't think this is one of our ships. Is this a rebel ship?
Far from it. It's a hut ship.
It should have noticed us just like we noticed it. Do you want to go back and report this? Or do you want to see if we can, do you want us to take it out?
We can't take it out alone. But we may be able to do something about it. We need more. Let's go back.
And I think that, you know, we see that little flip and, you know, scream backwards. Yeah.
Nice. And just so we're clear, that's a capital ship. So a tie against a capital ship, you would that would be very, very dangerous.
Well, I think she's well aware of that. I think this is a little bit of what's the
Little
right word?
bravado.
Exactly, bravado.
Gotcha. Sounds good. Sweet. So you guys peel back in the TIE fighter. You are flying back. So I think it would be a cut to you guys. As you scream your way back to the Pandora's grasp, and
I think as we land and kind of get out, you know, I tell Marwin, you know, I'll gather the other pilots and we can go back and hit it.
And I think Marwin just gives this smile. I don't think we need to attack it. I think we need to deal with them.
so you, just so we're clear, this conversation, did Marwin want to talk about dealing with them before Rev heads back to the Pandora's
Oh no,
grasp?
yeah, I think like on the way back he'll be saying like, you know, when he means like by dealing is, you know, talking with them, like trying to reach in, like, you know, the fleet has some ships that could need repair. The
Mhm.
hut may have use of their knowledge. It's going to be like a trade of info on Marwin's side versus just a straight up battle.
So they're allies.
Their resources.
Good, good, good. We can make use of that. That sounds great.
Cool. So then the TIE fighter comes into the hangar, passes through the force screen, and you bring her in. There's some engineers who will come out and hook her up and refuel your TIE. And is the intent for Rev to, like, what do you guys want to do now? Like, what's, just so I have a little bit of next order of
I
operations.
wanted to like, grab some people to go meet with them. Obviously, I'm in the market for rekindlers on my end to try and get our faction some power. But of course, what would be the fun without our wonderful assassin and agent who are players on this end?
Sounds really fun. I think I'd like to see you pull some strings regardless to see if things get a little messed up.
No problem. And that's with
you be rolling with smooth.
I think that's my worst stat.
Nice. It's always good
Yes,
opportunity.
Yeah, there we go. This will be fun. Oh, that's a 7.
Nice. What do you know? Not a cardinal move, but it would be a heck of a lot to push that to a 10. It would cost you three pressure and you'd be at max pressure. You're gonna let the 7 ride?
Oh, of course. I mean, you get 2 options if I do.
I do. And I have to say, just for the like Battlestar Galactica. So my primary complaint of let's not talk about the ending of Battlestar Galactica. My primary complaint of the Battlestar Galactica middle, personal complaint, no, I'm sure no one else has problems with this, was like the same, like, okay, we need Starbuck in this thing. So now Starbuck isn't a hotshot pilot. Starbuck is a person who's teaching other people how to pilot. Now Starbuck isn't a pilot. Starbuck is investigate. Like, they wore a lot of hats. I get it. This is all they had. So therefore people had to do lots of other things, but it just was just a little convenient for me. That said, I'm totally can't do it without help from someone I don't know why that's in there twice. I guess that's because I copied the text out, but someone you'd rather not get involved with. So Marwin, who of the PCs would you least want involved in this mission? That's who I'm going to pick.
Oh, PCs?
Yeah.
Oh, probably Tagashia. She seems to be the most distant from me and have the most out for me.
Nice. Cool. So the pitch here is you're reaching out, you're talking to the rekindlers and saying, hey, there's a dreadnought out here. We could get some supplies. We could get some repairs. And that's the pitch. Is that the approach, Marlon, when you pulled strings?
Yeah.
Sweet. So I think what we have is the three of you with Rev. You're going to be flying alongside because you're awesome, cool TIE fighter pilot person. So maybe you, and you've got a wingman. Who among the wingman do you want? Do you want to go for Romnan as your wingman because he's got serious beef with Marwin? Rella Saul, who's just a ticking clock of trouble, or Shen, who you, if I remember correctly, kind of idolize.
So I think what Rev does is follow procedure. Whenever I get off the TIE, I report it to the CAG, right? I report, hey, we've got another ship out there, and the CAG assigns Lieutenant Soul.
All right, nice.
To be the wingman because they're a little bit more politically savvy about what's going on. And of course, I come back and I tell the CAG we have allies. We're going to have an escort out there, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, Tagashia, you're part of a contingent, just like a troop. There's a squad of soldiers that are sent out there, and of course, with your squad is Glory, recruit Gloria Gillis.
Glory.
Yeah, Glory's been really weird around you after that whole "you saved our life" thing. Really weird. Yeah, just like doesn't talk to you a whole lot and just seems uncomfortable around you and just avoids you. Not in your face anymore. Yeah, that's what's going on with Glory. And I think that Jaina, the reason you're here is that Bolt just sent you a missive telling you to head to a dock and board a certain ship. Gave you no prep whatsoever. So, Lieutenant Commander, you will be aboard this. I'm going to say it's like a medium class, like a troop transport that's heading out with a couple of. No. We can use one of our fleet. Let us use the Gazanti class cruiser. Let's do that. Yeah, the Reclamation. It's controlled by the Final Legion, taken in payment from Moff Gansen's excesses. There we go. Get to get that one in. So we have the big kind of flat-headed Gazanti class cruiser that is headed towards this dreadnought. And just from a scale perspective, this is a capital class. It's not Star Destroyer sized. It is probably the size of, like, if you remember the Nebulon B class frigates, so the things that came in to look like a ray gun because it had the big handle that stuck down, about that size. so if you have an idea of scale, you'd have to stack several of them on end for it to be as long as the Pandora's Grasp. But the word gets out because it was officially reported by Lieutenant Rev, and this appears to be an authorized mission by the Final Legion because they're sending out their troops to meet with this Hutt dreadnought. Now, here's the thing. Rev and Marwan, you guys saw that this dreadnought, like there was a ship that was headed out to meet with the dreadnought, and then you guys are coming out after it. So someone from the fleet may have set up this initial meeting. Does that make sense? I want to make sure that the timeline all fits in everybody's head. You haven't, in the time that you guys acted, it does not appear that whoever went out to meet with that dreadnought has returned. So they may. Yes.
Rich, is it okay if Rev didn't realize that there was another ship out there, but Marwan did?
Is
that okay? Okay, and so I think that there's some political machinations going on, but I didn't report that to anyone, to the Imperial, so they don't really know that.
Okay, cool.
They think, it's just us out to try and negotiate with the Hutts to get more help.
Yeah, resupply. You guys can take care of some of your attrition. I'm not sure if anyone's seen, but your attrition is currently, which is like pressure for the fleet, is at 4. So it's not great. You guys, the fleet hasn't taken harm, but you're running out of a lot of supplies. Let's put a fine point on exactly what supply they are after. I think that the most important supply for the Final Legion, and the reason that they are sending people out this way, is fuel. You guys are running low on fuel, and you've been running pell-mell, like hyperspace, drop out of hyperspace, still going full tilt in sublight, and then hyperspace again for weeks. So yeah, I think that is the main motivation for the Final Legion is, hey, we got to get some more fuel. So let us look again at our captain. The captain. Oh, we did not. We did. Shen is the captain. There we go. So Shen gets to be involved as well as Lieutenant Relisol. And there was in chat, just so I can verbalize it, so it's on our recording, because I will not see the chat next session. The Final Legion actually has an identifier, so people who are loyal to the Final Legion have a patch that most of the troops will be wearing. We think like right shoulder, over the heart, like
I think like the stormtrooper shoulder pad kind of thing, right? Like the desert troopers have on Tatooine. But it's like it's got to be some sort of like reminder about. I think this might really tick off Rev, but it's like something about Endor or something. What would that be? It's like it's just an image of like stuff falling onto a planet surface. It's like this stylized circle of a surface, and like identifiable parts of the Death Star falling down, and that's the mark of the Final Legion.
Oh wow, that is messed up, and I love it. Rev wears one of these symbols, yes or no? Now that we know it exists.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of felt like it, but I wanted to check in. Didn't want to dictate. Sweet. So Marwan, are you in the bridge with the captain of the the reclamation?
I can be there if needed.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
where do you imagine that?
I'm not sure what would be the best. I think the bridge is fine.
Cool. And of course, Lieutenant Commander Jaina Madar, you are among them. Now, as a reminder, just for terms, Shin's the captain of the reclamation. Shin's actual rank is lieutenant, which does not outrank Lieutenant Commander Jaina Madar, which means that you are the highest ranking officer on this ship, Jaina Madar. Yeah, you outrank all of the PCs and you outrank the captain of the ship, but
This won't cause any problems at all.
none whatsoever. So when you get on board, Jaina, and you see that there's a squad of troopers, not stormtroopers, just regular ass troopers, a pair of TIE fighters. What's your plan, Jaina? What have you been doing as we pick up like mid-flight, almost like an engagement roll in Force in the Dark? Like we're going to jump ahead of the like little piddly bits, but I'm just curious what Jaina did when you got thrown into this.
Yeah, I mean, I think I asked for some sort of, briefing from the captain, but mostly I'm like still kind of like trying to put pieces together. Like I think we can see that Jaina is, I know we can see the wheels turning, and maybe they're turning a little bit more slowly than usual because she's a pretty shrewd manipulator. But I think that we definitely get a sort of lingering shot of at some point, maybe as she's walking past to the bridge or something, of Jaina looking at Soul. Other than that, I don't really have any ideas for right now, but I would like to, I would like to meet up with that person at some point.
Sounds really good. Now, as a bit of reminder, Soul had expressed her belief about the Emperor and shouldn't have dissolved the Senate. And Jaina, you're well aware of her history, that both of her parents were senators who lost their status and their political clout when the Senate was dissolved, and they were 100% loyal to the Emperor. They did nothing wrong except 100% loyal to the Emperor, which many might say is wrong. But Jaina, you're looking out, see Soul's TIE fighters. Her and Rev are the escorts. And then as we're focusing on you, Jaina, there's this moment, we hear this like sound effect, and all of a sudden we see out of Jaina's eyes like this super bright white light, and everything around it is just a little hazy. And then you see this silhouette, but the silhouette of the person is odd because we, the audience, and maybe Jaina vaguely see that this silhouette is a person with Leku, which is the Twi'lek like brain tails that come down, and they are like leaning in, and you see that they have this like white hot drill. As I pause to double check our safety, because I don't. And the drill is coming towards your mouth, and then we flash out of that for a moment, and you're covered in sweat, and maybe you had to. This Gazanti class cruiser actually has no railings, so you would have to, because it's Imperial standard. They don't have railings, right? So you like grab onto a console as you're right beside someone, and just as a reminder of what the cockpit type setup for the Gazanti is, if anyone's seen the Mandalorian, there's a bit where there's that Imperial guy who commits suicide. He was in the cockpit bridge type area for the Gazanti. It's tight. It is not your Imperial Star Destroyer, huge amount of room type deal. So sorry, I just wanted to like make sure that we had that scale in mind. So there are probably half a dozen people here, including Jaina, Marwan, and Shen. There are others who are manning consoles and the like, but this is a lot more like submarine than it is like gigantic Star Destroyer, which has the, you know, all the extras. So Marwan, you get a weird feeling and catch that Jaina looked like for a moment she just about lost her balance and looks sweaty, perhaps verklempt. What do you do, Marwan?
He'll walk up to her, and I think normally he would offer a hand to steady her, but he doesn't think it's the greatest idea, and he'll just, I think, sort of like just peer too close. Are you okay?
Of course. I'm just a little what would the word for seasick be in this situation? I'll just say seasick, and whatever it actually would be for being on a space cruiser. It's nothing. You don't have to worry about me, Ganson. Star dazed. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, that's great. Oh man, I put
Thank
that
you,
in our
Ferret.
dictionary.
Yeah. Just a little star dazed. No, you don't need to worry about me, Ganson.
I've never seen you get such. Is it the current sardine accommodations?
I don't like the tight spaces. That's yes, you're right. It's just feels a little bit like the walls are closing in. I don't know if
I
you know that
understand.
feeling at all, Marwan.
I've been in the tank often enough to know that feeling.
Can I help you with something?
I'm more than sure you can, but why are you sure you want to?
You know, Bolt has been really riding me, been on my back about some things, and you know, really wants me to meet with a pilot that's with us today. Maybe you can help make that happen for me. Maybe you can help get Bolt off my back.
Ooh,
Which I think is very clearly like kill my commanding officer.
yeah.
I will do
Are you
what-
reaching out, telling me a problem that you have?
Well, I mean, so you kind of,
Or-
you know, you and the rekindlers kind of had this plan of sort of putting me, you know, getting me in
Calling a
charge.
marker?
And I think this is Jaina deciding like, all right, I think she's going to try to use this to her advantage. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but yeah, I think this is reaching out, which is, well, what exactly would this be? Doubt or fear, hope or dream, failure or regret, or feelings about them. I don't really think it's any of those things. This might be more. Pull strings doesn't really make a ton of sense either. What do y'all think?
It could be let loose. I mean, you're kind of indulging your base needs by asking for murder.
If you're asking Marwin to kill him, I think that's definitely pulling strings.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so too.
Say what you're going to help and what you want them to do.
Okay, yeah, I think that is it then. And roll plus smooth. That's my good stat.
There you go.
Big old +1. Right. That's a 3.
Wow.
That was as bad as I could possibly roll.
That is terribleness. And there's no amount of waiting patiently and helping that's gonna help you get that. Now the pull strings on a fail is just GM makes a move, and I think yeah,
Actually, can I is this one of the ones I can use pressure to up? I
pull
spend
strings
all
is not a cardinal, so you
Can I spend all 4 of the pressure that I have available to?
unfortunately you can only do up to 3. So
Oh,
raise
okay.
pressure,
Then I can
raise pressure
help
on
you.
yourself, pushing yourself beyond. Oh, that's true. With help, you can mark pressure 3 times, and someone else could help you, and it could happen at that point.
I would like to pursue that if you're cool with that, Ferret.
Yeah, I will support you.
All right. When you support or interfere with another character's move, mark pressure and roll plus warm to support.
Okay, let me mark that pressure on myself.
Here we go, Lordy.
And thankfully, I upped my warm last session. Oh, that is a 13.
Wow. On 10 plus, hold 2.
With
so you could
my
give,
special move, I hold 3.
wow.
So I'm going to give that a +1.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to create an opportunity or an opportunity for Jaina in that I think the opportunities, they didn't send her superior. They sent her. If she does well in this venture, she's going to be rewarded. And I'll redirect the negative consequences. I mean, we're mostly here, it's rekindlers, I think, in this bridge. Or I mean, they're rekindler at least aligned, some of them.
Yeah.
So
I was about to
they're
say,
not
because the
gonna,
rekindlers and the last leech you guys are tied pretty tightly, but you definitely have different end
yeah,
goals.
I think we're saying this, she says this, if anyone overhears, they're not going to tell in this tight space.
I can live with that. So, and then Jaina, with that +1, you can burn 3 pressure if you so wish and push yourself to a mixed success. Is that what you want to do?
I would like to do that. And I get to, because of whichever special move I have, I choose 2 options for pull strings. So I mean, I think it's definitely gain help with a specific task from an NPC or group,
Mhm.
and hold 1 towards choosing an option from support or interfere move list, or taking action at scale. I wonder if this looks like Marwyn kind of, mobilizing some kind of group to assist in taking out Bolt. Who might that be?
I mean, Marwyn, you've got this assassin.
Well, it says NPCs, but I mean,
Yeah.
my mind originally went to Tagashia, but it says NPCs. So I don't know if.
Oh no, it's Gloria. I mean, there's got to be a reason she's acting weird around Tagashia.
Yeah, weird. Okay, cool. Glory is going to have to assassinate Bolt.
And then gaining access to rare restricted equipment, resources, skills, or information. I think that's maybe information about Bolt being somewhere at a specific, time, where he's vulnerable to this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
And then Rich, you get to choose 2.
Before that, I think I want to retcon the negative action falls on someone else. I think I'm going to set up Obok Vandar II if this goes badly.
Ooh.
So if there's a failure, it all points back to your buddy.
Well, and he's actually the one who put this in action in the first place, kind of, right? Like he's the one that said, so it makes sense. Oh, some big moves.
Wow, this is Titanic. I love it. But of course, we know that Glory is here on this ship and Bolt sent you. So this is a future action, just timeline wise to making sure. But it's sealed in. Like that's a thing where you've successfully made that happen. That is wild. Man, oh man. Okay. Cool. Let's cut to Gashia. Your squad, we're gonna say that we have a bunch of new faces, right? Because most of your squad was sucked out of into the vacuum of space. So it's like
That's true.
Oh, I choose to. Thank you for that reminder. Let me do that before I move on and we don't. So 7 and 9, GM chooses to. I'm going to hold and reserve the unexpected cost or consequence because this is a future action. So I'll make myself and then I'll do something else. So how do we want to work in someone demands a favor in return? Because that was two PCs talking, but Glory is going to carry forward on the action. So that
She probably want to be
Oh.
increased in status, but get to Garcia.
I was just thinking that like maybe she wants like access to the rekindlers cloning or something.
Interesting. That's what she wants. And no questions asked. But of course, you super need to ask questions, right? Okay. Good. We cut down to, and this will be our last scene because I don't want Rev to be left out in the ether for too long, but I want to have a scene with Tagashia with your squad who, I mean, a couple of them, I think, were like techs before that, and now they've been pulled in. They're recruits, right? So they're still learning which way to point the blaster. How is Tagashia handling that?
So yeah, I think we're at like the barracks part of the, it's like the underside that they vent into space or whatever in the Mandalorian, that sort of cargo area.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got these like fresh recruits, and Glory is there too, right?
Yeah, Glory's there.
Glory's there as the last surviving members of our little platoon.
She's there, but what she's got a little data pad and she just keeps reading it, and she's ignoring everybody else.
Right. And I think Tagashia is dealing with let's see.
Yeah, grab a name.
Let's see. We have this unnamed ensign XX. What's Ensign XX's real name?
Oh, let's go to our names and species helper first and surnames.
Yeah,
Just grab those. Got a bunch.
Let's say Livia. And she's got like Livia, and Livia's got like the Imperial regulation blaster, and she's like shooting it in like the little mini range that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a terrible shot, horrible shot. And so Tagashia comes up, grabs it from her, shoots it without looking, puts it back in her hands. What did you do before this, soldier?
Wow. I was a cook.
A cook?
Yes, ma'am. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, before I was a sous chef, but like a cook.
How many of the rest here were cooks?
And one more like raise their hand, and one person says, I was in sanitation.
And she looks, and they're all wearing that Final Legion patch, right? And
Called a service, just like you, ma'am.
well, when the shooting starts, get behind me.
Yes, ma'am.
There will be shooting.
And she blanches a little bit. And then you guys hear the chatter as the pilot is working out their final approach and which hangar bay they'll be landing on the Dreadnought as the Gazanti class actually pulls in. Well, scale wise, I think maybe it's more like a belly up airlock thing rather than pulling in, right?
I think at the end of this, Tagashio just walks over to Glory and like hits the underside of her data pad so that it bonks her nose again.
Oh,
Which is where she punched her.
mm-hmm.
Look alive. It's a glorious day to die for the Empire.
She swipes and you see that there's like you catch a little bit of the data pad, like that there's a signature that it looks pretty official, some kind of set of orders that she was looking over and reading and rereading and committing to memory.
Yeah, I'll definitely be stealing that later, but we'll put a bookmark on that.
Sweet. Yeah, so she'll fold up the data pad and shove it into her little, back pouch on her stuff. Yeah. All right, you bunch of slugs, slemos. We got to do this right. And then we see the ship is pulling up, and maybe the ties actually join with the Gazanti class cruiser so that you guys come up and in. And yeah, that's a great suggestion. I was 100% about to say, hey, this is probably a good point. Good point to take a bio break. So let's do that. We pick up with the squad of neophyte troopers trying their best to look hard and Imperial, led by Tagashia and Glory. And we also have Marwan, Jaina Madar, and the two TIE fighter pilots all heading into this dreadnought. Now, whereas in our Star Destroyer, everything's in, well, as you see behind me, dull grays and reds and blacks. The Hutt Dreadnought is colorful. There are an array of bright and vibrant colors. There's art that's been painted onto plating to just give it a bit of life, a pop of color. It's almost festive in a way. And as the lot of you are headed into the area where you will meet the hut known as Sigask Edda, I'll drop that in chat, but she is located on row 37 of the NPCs tab in case you want to take a glance. But as you're headed there, you smell, I'm not sure how many of you would recognize the smell of smoked spice, but that is a smell that is different. And I think the first indication that we get from an NPC is from Livia Instant Livia, who goes like, does that head jerk of somebody who smells weed, shit, I know what that is. Like, is that pot? Like, he just has is that pot look on her face, but this is spice because Star Wars. So I guess all told, we're looking at like 15 people. The doors, these two huge doors open, and you see that you now have entered into throne room's probably too generous, but definitely an area where it's not that, it's more like than dislike or unlike Jabba's throne room, where you see that we have the nowhere near as rotund as Jabba, Sigask Edda. Now, Sigask, she is young, right? Like, she easily could get around on her own. She could just pop out of there. So she isn't really on a palanquin, but everything's oriented around her. It's that she is at the central figure here. You hear there's a little bit of music that's being played softly. There's a group of Bish that are playing some soft jazz music. Here's that heavy bit of smoke. You see, there are some unsavory looking characters that are all spaced around. Sigask has an attendant. So I want to ask Marwan, like, who is the attendant? Whereas Jabba, being odious and terrible, had a Kowakian spider lizard. Anyway, monkey lizard. Yes, I think Kowakian monkey lizard, as well as a Twi'lek dancer, and later Princess Leia, all chained to him. Who is the attendant for Sigask Edda, Marwan, that we see?
I was double muted. I think like Jabba, she has a thing for Leku, but she has a rare 4 Leku Togruta.
Oh, wow.
Who is also, I think, from the part of the planet that makes them blue and white. And he's holding this tray of just like different illicit substances that, that have not yet been named in Star Wars. That the fans would just be like on Wikipedia, like, what is this red powder? What is this blue ball?
There's an entire forum dedicated to figuring out all of the little Easter eggy things that we've introduced into our fiction. That's awesome. Yeah. So we have a Togruta. Now, the Togruta, supposedly they're like who grow with age. So what do we think the general age of this Togruta servant attendant is to? Is it young adult?
This
elderly?
has got to be a Easter egg for the fans to recognize a Hutt indulgence, but barely legal.
Okay, cool. So very small. Like are quite small, like young Ahsoka sized. Yeah, we're good. And music filtering in. Jaina, you outrank everybody. So how are you handling this? You guys could get a lot of fuel from this unsavory character from Hutt Cartel, as she will greet you guys, because it's only pleasant. She is the host, she says.
Looky here. And some people say the Empire is dead. Welcome.
Thank you. Real quick question for clarification. So there was someone that came out. Jaina doesn't know this, but someone came out here before us. Is there any sign of them?
That is a great question. That is a fantastic question. And I think we should probably have a move. So are you trying to seek out? Because they are trying to hide from you.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and I think that this isn't Jaina expecting that there's something here. This is just Jaina doing her job, right? As a intelligence agent.
You trained on this stuff. This is your specialty.
So I'm looking for, I mean, I'm really looking for anything that we don't want us taking us by surprise. Yeah, I'm sure I'll find there's something to find here. So I'm going to roll plus sharp, which for me, I believe is 0. Yes. And that's a 10.
Wow. That is,
So I find it.
you do. Yeah, is the boring option, the 10? On a hit, you find it. On a 7 to 9, I choose some other stuff. Okay, cool. So you just straight up find it. Yeah, I think what you see is that among the others, not in his Imperial uniform, is Corporal Saul Farina.
Mm.
Remember the cult of quartermasters.
Mm-hmm.
And he is here. You see he's wearing like some kind of weird hat that he must have just picked up here that's got pulled low over his brow, and he's got this bubbling like Pangolesque gargle blaster drink, and there's he's got his arm around a girl, and he thinks he's sitting at a table. He thinks he's out of sight, but you totally know. Yeah, this is the guy who let Tagashia into the cloning vats area by giving her the right code. I mean, it's not like he's gonna get up and walk that and let her in. Like, he's not gonna open the door. That's work, please.
I don't call direct attention to him, but I do say I see that you have guests. We're not interrupting anything important, are we?
Oh no, nothing at all. Come, what do you need?
Well, I suppose we should speak plainly. As you're aware, the Empire has suffered a devastating defeat, and we are in need of supplies. And we expect that you may be able to assist us with some fuel for our fleet, which we would gladly pay handsomely for.
And what you paying in Imperial credits?
I'm sure that we can find an arrangement that's to both our liking.
You like information, don't you? Power.
Yes.
We've been jumping many places. We've been on the run. You know this. It's no pride here. But we've passed many places, places which may be out of jurisdiction now. Maybe to just basically paint a planet run by Athorians that grows that has the same swampy atmosphere as your planet, but with people that won't fight to protect it.
Jaina shoots. Just said Jaina shoots Marwan a look.
Just to check in, is Marwan telling the truth?
I think so. I think to pull this into the Star Wars Saturdays, I think he's setting up the Blue Cultivators story by selling out her planet.
Oh no, that's great, but terrible. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Very clever, very clever. Sweet. Now, I think we're engaging a move. Let's double check here. I think you're I don't feel like pull strings makes sense in this. It may just be a simple. It may actually not be a move, actually. Because as I'm looking around, I don't see a basic move or a roll move that fits this specific situation.
Could
Is
you
this actually-
shake it off?
That's what I was thinking. I mean, to me, it seems like as much as we're trying to get, well, we're shaking off the threat of not having fuel, but also shaking off the threat of this cartel who could cause lots of problems for
Yeah,
us.
we're putting like, we are, if they know we need fuel, they know we're sitting ducks. They can come and find us again.
They certainly could. Okay, good. Thank you guys for letting me work through that. It's a different angle, but I really like that application. So let's have you shake off this threat. Roll plus hard.
That is an 8. Let me check my pressure.
You could push it to a
And
10.
oh yeah, I'm gonna push myself to a breaking point.
Okay, yeah. I could aid, but
I was gonna say, I'm there. I could aid as well.
Yeah, I'm fine with anyone wanting to aid if they'd like. To
I
do
think
that instead.
Tagashia might speak Hut, which would be
Ooh.
interesting and
nice.
an interesting callback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun if it fails. Oh, and I'm supporting Marwyn, which is strange.
Mixed feelings.
Mixed feelings. Okay. Let's see. I can roll plus relationship for that, correct?
I think you can like swap out
Yes.
relationship with supporting an action. Yes.
Yep. Okay, so it's +1.
Now we see the payoff from all those reaching out. Darn it.
Oh, dang it. That's a 5.
Now we're supposed to see it, but we don't.
I can mark 2.
Oh my god.
No, I can't. I can't boost that. No, you can't boost it.
Yeah, it is.
That's a cardinal move. I get to take an advance though, because I rolled a cardinal move.
Yeah, there you go. So go ahead and you get an XP and that pushes you to an advance.
Yep.
Nice.
But I fail at supporting, which I think I don't know what the moves are for failing. Bummer. Yeah, bummer. Okay.
So that means you're going to have to, if you want to make it, you're going to have to pay the cost yourself there, Marwyn. Unless, well, I mean, both of you could do it. And Jaina did say she's there.
Yeah.
This is hilarious. This is like, I love this. This is such a snowball. Go for it.
Yeah, I haven't rolled this yet. So this is plus warm, which
It's
is
plus warm unless you've got a higher
I have
relationship with them.
I have 1 with Marwyn, so that works.
You're not very warm, so yeah, you should probably do
Yeah.
that.
So 7.
Whoa. That is great. So you get to hold
Yeah,
one.
I'll give a +1 to the move.
Okay. So that +1 pushes Marwyn up to a 9. Do you want to spend the last
we'll
pressure
to boost it to a 10?
Okay. That means that I have a hard move for Tagashia. Madar and Marwyn are locked in. What is it that Jaina does to make it seem like you absolutely are supporting Marwyn in this moment?
I think the way it kind of shows on screen is like that we see that look that Jaina gives Marwyn that's like, what the fuck are you doing? But then like kind of falling in line and sort of just maybe saying some things in support, and I'm an Imperial intelligence officer, et cetera, to kind of bolster.
So you're in full control then, Marwyn, with that 10+. You get a +1 forward, which in this game is incredibly valuable. And Sigusk Edda says,
A planet sounds nice. You want fuel, and you give me coordinates? Or more? You have more?
Oh, what more? And I think Marwin just looks. Since he had been the one to set up to have seen the ship on there, and it's like, does Jaina make note to anyone that where this Farina is sitting?
Help me understand what the play is here.
I'm going to just basically ask you, what else have you been offered?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think one sec. I think what more we can offer depends on what's been offered already. Isn't that right, Corporal? And directing that directly at Farina.
Cool. So that text comment is very great. You realize Sigisk is doing a little bit of mental math. Like Marwin, you just get that sense. Jaina, you've been trained to kind of sniff this kind of stuff out. But for the moment of what else have you been offered, you realize Sigisk hasn't been offered anything for this fuel. That whatever he's here for is not getting fuel for this fleet. But Sigisk is not going to let that lie, right? So Sigisk says,
Oh, your fleet needed bad. I get many offers. You know, New Republic credits are the thing now. But calamari flan's been good too. You help. Yeah. You want fuel? You come help me take this planet. Since some of those pretty TIE fighters. Those two, I like them. They're pretty.
If you'll give us a moment, please.
there's like a wave, the music picks
Yeah,
up a
yeah.
little bit, and some people come out and dance, like it's a little dance intermission, and it's a sabacc game that gets picked up over to the side.
I think I need to call Marwin on his shit. This has put us in a really bad place. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, as quietly as possible, not wanting to attract any other attention, you know, Jane's like, Marwin, what the fuck are you doing? We can't afford to lose our TIE fighters, our what is hunters? Is that what the cool ones are called? We can't afford to lose our hunters. You made this offer without. You need to fix this. I think that's me saying what they need to do to convince me otherwise.
Nice.
So I'm going to roll plus hard, which everything's zero. Everything's zero, but smooth and raw. So
This is this one you can also switch a relation? Yeah, you can relationship me, call me on my shit.
cool. All right.
You guys need to reach out more so that you can call each other on shit.
Right. That's a 10.
Yeah, so I think Marwin is going to act to prove you wrong. And I think while the music is beginning to play, like it's very odd, like to the humans at least, but Marwin just begins to dance. And he moves closer to Sigisk as he's dancing. And will basically, like, he saw her type. He's close enough to it, he assumes, to bargain this way. And he will like sit on her, like sit near her, sit on her if she allows it, begin like stroking her face and then whispering, you know, you can have the entire fleet, but this will be of your payment. You pay the fuel costs to get us there. Your cartel keeps us safe, and we will be very generous in rewards. The empire flourished before. When it flourishes again, the Hutt cartel is the only legal syndicate in the galaxy. The only one that there is no jurisdiction over. And you are the one with the planet to control and the one to have made this happen. Your power grows immensely if you support us in this move.
Nice.
I will say that Jaina sort of has a hard time seeing how this is making things better.
I mean, he's getting the resources given to them
Right.
up front.
Right. No. I get that. Yeah.
But if you feel I'm not doing it, I will take the negative consequence.
No. I think that you are. I just think that Jaina's still not happy. But
yeah,
I do think that you're doing this. Yeah.
Nice. So you make that offer, and Sigask, she seems really into being petted as you talk to her. Like, that just seems to entice her a little bit. But we're going to pause on this conversation because we got to cut over to Tagashia. Tagashia, your squad is, here. They're attending. They're generally standing at attention. And then this goes on like several rounds, and you catch Livia. She's like looked over at one of the tables, and there's a particular dish that seems to draw her attention. Maybe she's pulling like a ratatouille, like, oh yeah, there's that food. Oh man, that's that. And she like asks a question of the Gotal who's eating it. And then she just slightly just has a half step over, and that's drawing a bit of your focus. Like, oh no, what is stupid sous chef Livia Topal about to do to embarrass us? So your attention's pulled by that. But then, Tagashia, there's a person who kind of steps into underneath one of the lights with this cobalt blue skin, brilliant red eyes. It's a Chiss. It's one of your people. And they recognize you, Tagashia. We're going to give them the Chiss. They have, like Tagashia, they have like several syllabic names. We're going to call this person by their common name of Sorn. So tell me, when you and Sorn, what is the relationship that the two of you have, and how did you break their trust?
I think Sorn was a handler for me. I think they were sort of a go-between between myself and Frit, the Rhodian.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I broke their trust when as they probably so often did, a mission went particularly south, and I sold them out to make my escape. So this puts me a little at unease, but I'm imagining that Sorn is right. No, what was the name again?
Yes,
Sorn.
S-O-R-N.
Is a little distant, and I'm making eyes at Rev, and I'm making eyes at Livia, because at this point, like, there's been a whole bunch of rank drama already, and I'm trying to get Rev, who does truly outrank Livia, to like do something about this because this is about to go badly. So
That's delightful.
just that frantic eye contact.
Cool. So yeah, you have Soren has made you. Soren's starting to make their way over towards you, and I'm about to drop a pick in for Soren, but let's check in on Rev. You're near Saul because the two of you actually know what the hell you're doing, and you don't want to be dealing with some, bothersome recruits. But it looks like Tagashia's desperately trying to get your attention for some help with a wayward recruit.
So what I'm picking up here, so I think Rev is, standing there, and I think they've actually, if I'm not mistaken, this Gazanti class cruiser had like heavy armament and armor and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she's
So
tough.
I think that we've actually swapped out some of our equipment for the weapons that they have. So rather than a normal flight equipment, maybe we have Death Trooper armor that's still black, blends in, but it looks really intense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the two of us are still in uniform, standing there, sort of as guards, not with the rest of the troops in Tagashia, but like nearby. And I think so. I don't think it would be any problem, since we still have our helmets on, Tagashia, that you could just tell us explicitly, go take care of Livia or get in the way of this chess or anything you want.
Yeah, I definitely don't want Rev to know about Sorn. So yeah, maybe she just comes up like it's like a party now, right? Like we're all sort of, yeah. And Tagashia will just like come up and be like, that recruit is about to screw this whole op, and like very gently like points at Livy.
And story-wise, is your intention here to kind of divert the attention from you from Sora?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to, yeah.
And I think Livia is starting to get a little bit into this party attitude, and is starting to loosen up a little bit. And I think that that's when Rev comes up and a little bit reprimands her, saying, get back into line, remember who you are.
So you've got an opportunity here, if you wanted, Rev, to let loose a little here of some of this pent up pressure that you've got. If you wanted to indulge that base need to kind of dominate this subservient recruit. Or you can just pull rank and she'll back off. Like, she's not stupid, she's just naive.
Yeah. So I was looking at squadron leader to see if that fit. I think that's more for NPCs, because it's if you succeed, then you spend hold to give someone a +1 forward. So I think let loose is probably better, just to push Livia to the consequences. Do they make sense? Anger. Okay, yeah. So I think let's do let loose and see what that looks like. So that's raw. Okay. That's a 4.
Okay.
I mean, thematically, I am helping here. I think if you're interested in that, Stephen. And we have a good relationship. I may actually be able to do it.
Let loose also on the miss. It does have a miss condition.
What's the miss condition?
On the miss, the same as 7 to 9, but nobody erases any pressure, so you won't lose any pressure. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so I think it would take a lot to get from a 4 to a 7. So I think it's fine just letting it sit. Yeah.
Sweet. So you may choose on a 7 to 9. You choose. You end up in the arms of someone you shouldn't. You share a secret you shouldn't. You make a promise you shouldn't. You anger or alienate someone that matters to you.
I think it's probably you anger or alienate someone that matters to you.
And who matters to you in this scene?
Well, I think it's obviously Tagashiya that, kind of stepped in and said, take care of your recruit, take care of this person, and make sure that they stay in line.
And I think what happens, so I want to, it says, the GM decides the details, but I don't want to tell you what your PC does. But I think what happens is she was like trailing her finger along the side of the plate and takes a taste of the gravy that this particular food was in. And she tells the Gotal, oh, if they added a little bit of this and you come in and you clear your throat, she says, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And then the guy offers her up like, oh, thank you. And the Gotal offers her up some stems and she refuses it. And I think that sets you off, right? Like you're about to let loose. What is the thing that you do that's going to end up decreasing your relationship with the Gashiad, where she won't trust you to take care of things? Do you think maybe do you wail on Livia to get her in line? Do you grab the stems and cause a bit of a scene?
I think the way this looks is basically the stems come out, and if I'm not mistaken, this gentle being is offering this to Livia, right?
Yeah, like, oh, thanks, thanks.
And Livia's like partying a little bit and eating some of the gravy and offering some critique of the food.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that whenever Rev walks up, walks up and says, clears her throat, and Livia kind of gets back into line a little bit, and then the stems come out, and I think they're offered to Livia, but Rev says, oh, thank you, and takes them and puts them into a pouch and turns to Livia and says, as you were, and steps back.
Nice. And Livia is like, ooh. She has the look of, oh, snap. We cut back to the Jaina, Marwan, and the flirting, the heavy flirting and petting of Sigask Edda, and she says,
Yes, this good. I give you the fuel, but you guys flying all around. I send one of my friends to go with you. That way we stay in contact. Sword, you go with these Imperials, yeah? It's good. It's good. All the fuel we loaded on your ship. You go back, you help your people, and we get a planet. Shake my hand, lovely.
He will shake it. I think he shakes it and kisses it. As wise as you are beautiful.
Oh. You don't need to kiss.
and that's to Jaina. Like, you don't need to kiss. There's a little bit of like caressing the cheek thing, and then Edisk, Sigask declares, and now we party. And the music picks up, and it looks like, as far as she's concerned, business is concluded. You guys have some spice, have some intoxicants, have a good time. I've got my people loading all that fuel onto your ship. It could totally be a double cross, but it seems legit. What do you do, Jaina?
I mean, I definitely want to supervise the loading of the fuel. And I'm going to ask for some help with that. And I think I call it to Rev and Soul.
Nice.
especially because I've really been wanting to get some alone time with Soul. So yeah. How does Rev react to that?
I think Rev is a little bit reluctant to be pulled away from the party, but whenever you make this order, like you're like, come here, watch this, make sure that it's loaded in such a way that it won't be a problem. I think that's when duty kicks in.
Mm.
And I think she bosses the people loading it around a little bit more than necessary. No, not there. That's not the best way to stack it. Move it here. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Marlon.
And I think
no, there's more. Yeah.
I was gonna say, and I think that her taking a little bit more charge is your opening if you wanted to interact with Soul.
Yeah, if we want to cut away and cut back to that, we can, or if either way works for me.
It was more of a like checking in. Like, does Tagashia stick around, or because if you do, Soren's probably gonna approach you.
Yeah, I think Tagashia is going to stick around a little bit. Soren has made eye contact with her. I think there's like it's probably one of those like maybe like those side tables, right? If it's set up a little bit like a cantina. And Soren comes up to her. She just reaches out, grabs the death stick out of his mouth, smokes it. Have you heard from Mina?
Of course I have. Thank you for sending her along. If I weren't so professional, I would have disintegrated you on sight.
If you say anything and you cark this up for me, I'll have you killed.
We're making some big threats for someone. I mean, I know that you are an accomplished assassin. It would be a shame if someone found out about the people that you've killed.
Indeed. And she puts the death stick back in his mouth. It would be a shame. The many, many people I've killed and can still kill.
I had hoped you'd learned. But I guess you learned the wrong things. When are you coming back home? Or are you off the ranch forever?
And I think she just smiles and says, Fritz sends his regards.
Well, good. I'm glad that you still wear the collar. I just need to grab the lead away.
Oop.
Barrett, were you
Did you say something, Barrett?
double muted again?
Double muted. Still muted.
Still muted.
I just gasped. I'm sorry.
Oh.
All that work for a gasp. Sorry. Cool. So we got Jaina and Rev are off taking care of the fuel. It looks like Tagashia stuck around for a little bit. What is Marwin doing?
Marwin's enjoying the party. I think Marwin's going to let loose.
Nice. You certainly should.
Yeah, I have a lot of stress, and
Those base needs.
yep, this is a flat roll, thankfully. Back to those. Oh, that's a 9.
Yay! On a hit, everyone races one pressure. And you on a 7 to 9 you choose, but I'll decide a bit of the details. So what do you want?
Oh, one of these is I make a promise that I shouldn't. And
Interesting.
I think the promise is to Sigus that I think, you know, she, like, you know, with that flirting and stuff, she's probably flirting back with him, of course. But, you know, she obviously likes one of these Imperials much more than the others. And I think he promises that he will be in charge when it comes time to pay the piper. That he's basically going to have to take he makes the promise that he's going to be leading the rekindlers.
Promise to lead the kinders. That's awesome. Good stuff. Let's so there was a question, is that everyone in every PC? Yes. So if you feel that Tagashia in the scene is, let's say that, because it says everyone involved erases one pressure. So if you're kicking back as well, then go for it.
I think after like this confrontation, there's that like truce among rivals kind of thing between Sorn and I, and we sit down and like very silently have a drink.
I want
Nice.
Tagashia to hear my promise that I will be the one leading the rekindlers.
Yeah.
You're gonna die. No.
Yeah, I may, but
Yeah, I
I'm
love
gonna
that. I
set
love
it
that.
up.
That's wild. Love it. So let's cut straight to the Jaina scene with Soul. How do you want to frame up that scene? Do you pull her aside? Are you helping her load stuff? Where do you imagine this
Yeah.
taking place?
Sorry, 1 second. My doorbell's
Okay.
ringing. I'm just gonna real quick see if it's
Yeah.
anything important.
Yeah. We'll cut back to you when you get back, checks.
I apologize.
No worries. You gotta take care of take care of her life. All right, let's I think I'm really curious. So Rev took off. I think I'd like a follow-up scene with Livia and Rev. Livia will come up and she moves a couple of crates, and then there's a point where you guys kind of shunt on a thing that's filling up one of the reserve tanks in the Reclaimed, and she says, Lieutenant, may I speak with you privately or please?
Yes, we will have to have some talk about your decorum, but yes. What's going on? And we kind of go off to the side.
I've only been at this for like a week, Lieutenant. I'm so sorry.
Shows.
But I really believe, she pats the patch. I want to help however I can. I was just thrown in the middle of this, and I've been reading the rule book, and am I going to get in trouble for those stems? Because I wasn't going to take them.
I know. You will fall into line after some time, but I think that current situations, and she reaches out to touch the pauldron and says, means you'll have to learn faster than normal. Just, keep in line, do your job. Right now it would look good if you helped load some of the equipment here. So I think if you can get some assistance, the faster we get loaded up, the better it'll look. And then Rev goes back to supervising.
Nice. Back to supervising, and she's working hard. She really wants to make up for that slip up. So, Jaina, you pull Soul aside. You outrank her. She's not going to fight you on it. Yes, ma'am. What did you need?
We need to talk. I kind of pull her down like a corridor and kind of like look around a little bit. And
She checks too, making sure.
I think that you need to be aware that the ISB has been keeping an eye on you. That some of the things that you've said have not been taken well. And as the head of re-education, I was tasked with working with you on these views. Kind of just giving a chance for her to like have some kind of reaction to this so far before I go into the next thing.
Yeah, she hides the stress. She's politically savvy, but you both know you've got her over a barrel. That if what you're saying is true, there's not a whole lot she can do about it. But you also get the read that she realizes you're having this conversation rather like if you were having this conversation not here, but you are. So you can kind of see her, the clock tick of the gears whirring of, okay, we're having this conversation here. Therefore, she has leverage over me. Therefore, I've got to figure out if I'm going to be compliant or not. And she says, ma'am, what do you need of me?
I was hoping you'd ask that. Well, maybe first you can tell me what you have on offer and we can figure something out.
I'm a humble servant of the Empire. I always have been. I spoke in private with colleagues merely about the fact that I was disappointed that the Senate was dissolved. That's all.
An understandable position given your heritage. But still, you need to watch what you say around others. Statements like that aren't taken kindly, and perhaps the sins that you've committed can be forgiven if you can just help me a little bit. There's trying to figure out how just straight in Jaina would go here. I think she's kind of desperate though, ultimately. So
You are sitting at full pressure.
Yeah, there's someone among the fleet, someone in some position of power who has been helping the rebellion, planting bombs, things of this nature. I need you to dedicate all of your available time to helping me root this person out. Now, the reason I'm asking you is because there's a reason to think that it could even be someone that is involved with the ISB. And anything you find out, I need you to bring that directly to me, no one else. Do you understand?
I understand.
And you're up for this task?
I am.
Do you have any questions or concerns?
Do you have any leads at all? Any suspicions?
What I have, I can't share.
Understood.
but anything that you hear from your fellow pilots, other troopers, gossip in the mess hall. There are places that you can get that I can't. If Lieutenant Commander Jaina Madar steps into a game of cards, well, that changes everything, doesn't it?
It certainly does. I understand.
And I'm glad that you understand. And this will keep your statements, as understandable as they may be from a certain perspective, off of the radar from those who don't take kindly to any action or speech outside of very narrow confines. You can go back to loading the fuel now.
Yes, ma'am. And she fires off a very crisp, perfectly textbook salute and heads back. Sweet. Looking at time. Are there any more scenes that folks want to have while here on the Epiphany, which is the name of this Hutt Dreadnought class ship?
I just have a little trailer for the last scene, which is, I think, as Lieutenant Scholl comes back, I think that Rev, sees her come around the corner and is like, "Where have you been? Get busy helping, load everything back up. We need to get this out of here."
Wait, who's that to? I'm sorry.
That's to Lieutenant Scholl, the one that Jaina was just talking to.
Oh, nice. And you guys are equal rank. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I think there's a moment where Soul thinks you're joking, like, "Oh yeah, we're comrades. Like we got this." So she's like, "Yeah, I got it," and she heads back to work. It's the reaction from Rev that, like, no, seriously, like.
Oh, I think Rev is just gonna do the same thing she had done before and just kind of sit back and what's the right word? Watch. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, as you're watching, I think there'll be a point where Soul says, "Did you pull something in there? Or did you hurt yourself, Lieutenant? Little sore?"
Oh, and now is a time whenever I'm going to step forward and I'm going to take something that I think it normally, took at least 2 people to lift up, and I'm going to, try it by myself.
Oh, a little show off, huh? Nice. I think you got to move and smoke me a kipper.
I do have a new move. Let's see what that looks
Nice.
like.
I'm gonna see it.
Okay. That's warm, and my warm is a 0.
Do it. Come on.
So that's a 7.
All right. On a 10 plus, they're wild. Choose 2. On a 7 to 9, choose 1, but also choose a consequence from Let Loose.
Let me see. Oh, this fits well. Someone in the audience is impressed by you and wants to impress you, or both. And I think that's what's the new recruit's name?
Livia.
Livia.
Opal.
I think that's Livia. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, and then I choose a consequence from the Let Loose.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking you would need to. Let's see. Well, let's see. So I'm showing off, I think, in front of Shoal, and I think Shoal, is it Shoal?
It's Soul.
Soul. And Soul is a little bit put off by, like, I'm doing nothing, and then all of a sudden I'm trying to show off. And I think Olivia's fawning reaction a little bit is just grating on her.
I can see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it damages the relationship you have with Soul. Yeah, she'll remember that. It's one of those telltale games. Like, Soul will remember this. Go, I'm glad I got there. Right. All right, there we go. Awesome. Good. Any other? What about Marwyn? Him extricating himself from partying down with Sigisk Edda.
Oh, I think when Marwyn's getting back on the ship, he'll have to find Jaina. He'll look for Jaina during this time.
And this is the flight back. So you guys have loaded up the fuel. You're headed back to the fleet at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. When you head back to the fleet, you actually see that there is a shuttle that's kind of trailing in your wake. Obviously, it is Corporal Saul Farina.
Yeah,
But where is it that that Marwyn and Ganzen finds Lieutenant Commander Jaina Madar?
You're asking me.
Sorry. Yes.
We're still on the ship. Or
We'll
we're
say you're
back?
on the Gazanti class.
Okay.
You're on the Reclamation now. You guys are headed back. You've fueled up. You're bringing back a huge bounty to the
Mhm.
fleet.
I mean, I think I'm probably just in the bridge again. Maybe this time, we see Jaina actually like holding on to something, to kind of not get so star dazed again. And yeah, I don't think Jaina's doing anything in particular. I think we just sort of see her in thought as Marwyn approaches.
Nice.
yeah. And I think like he tends to have like this business-like manner about him in most times. It's more jovial this time, and he's like, well, that could have gone a lot worse.
Not for lack of trying, Ganzen.
You think I'm trying to fuck over this fleet?
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't think that at all.
Do you
I
think
think
my
that-
actions did so?
I think they could have.
We're dealing with a young Hutt who seeks power. No Hutt in the Hutt cartel does not seek power. Do you know what our remnants could be worth to those terrorists? If she thought that we were better as bartering chips than allies?
You pulled rank.
I thought I was helping a friend. I'm sorry.
Is that what we are now, Ganzen?
I don't know.
A day ago,
I-
you told me that you're going to have me killed, and now we're friends.
I don't, and I think I'm going to actually try to reach. I've died more times than I've had friends. I can say that. I don't know a lot about relationships. I don't know much beyond what my grandmother taught me of how to manipulate people and how to get further. I don't want that for the rest of my life. Look what it got the Empire. There's so few of us left. I want to know the people around me before I finally don't come back. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to decide if like Jaina would, I mean, regardless of whether Marwyn is sincere here or not, whether Jaina would interpret this as sincere. I mean, I think it sort of shakes me a little bit. I don't know that Marwyn is not just trying to manipulate me more, right? But there's definitely truth in what he said and things that Jaina kind of relates to. So I think Jaina responds positively.
Okay. I shall attempt to roll warm, and hopefully this will not go the usual way our reach outs go. Oh, that is a 6.
Man, oh man, oh man. Okay. All right. So you attempted to reach out. You do increase the relationship. It is a cardinal move. So you mark an XP. And what is a good move for you guys? I do not want to create a habit of starting off sessions with hard moves. I wasn't ready for that. Sorry. It's just enjoying the moment.
I could get like interrupted by Obok fan. Like something could like remind Jaina of how much of a resource she's been treated as the hard move, perhaps.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, there's a communication that comes in to the Gazanti class cruiser. It's on a high. It's on a black 3 priority, so it is higher than any communication that Jaina's ever received. And it's Odok. He's calling upon you, Marwyn, and I think it sours this attempt for you guys to be friendly or to reach out. So while your relationships will increase per the move, the tenor, the flavor of it is, it's not as sweet as you'd hoped.
I think that Jaina says, go on, answer your master's call then.
Yeah, I think like there's like this scene like of like what would be the single manly tear just being wiped away before the camera actually pans up his face before he answers Obok, and like it has that just hello, and that has to be like the final scene as the credits rolls, I think, or at least depending on things.
I love it. Yeah, we will go to like a tag scene at the very end, which is it's the scene of so woman's hand touches the call on a door that we vaguely recognize, and then door opens up and we see inside the room is the slate gray room of Lieutenant Commander Grath Bolt. And we pan around and see recruit Gloria Gillis dressed in a very provocative outfit, carrying a bottle of Alderani brandy, wearing a little bit of lipstick, and she steps inside, and Bolt peers at her for a moment, and then a slow smile spreads on his face, and the door closes behind her. That will be the end of our session, saving time for end of session stuff. Yeah.
Oh, and final bookkeeping, don't forget that we got 1 momentum if you think we dealt with the Hut
Absolutely.
Cartel.
Yeah, I think you definitely dealt with I'm going to reduce the attrition by 1, and then I definitely think that is increasing the momentum. So you guys are now at flat momentum, which is good because that's a thing that will be important soon. Cool. All right, let's do stars and wishes. We start with wishes so that we can end with stars. We go in snake order. So who would like to go first with wishes?
I'll go first. Something I noticed during this session, and I've seen going back to previous sessions, I need to figure out more about how to get my moves to work. Because I'm struggling a little bit getting the moves that I have to fit into the story that we're telling. And I went through, I had a level up during the session, and I went through a lot of the other moves from the other playbooks just to see if there was something interesting in those. And I'm still struggling getting those to fit into the narrative where we're going. So it's something I need to consider a little bit more as I get into it. Yeah.
I struggle triggering a couple. Like the basic moves cover specific fictional situations that we're not always engaging. So
Yeah.
I think it might be good for me to just glance over all those triggers and try to angle scenes a little bit more comfortably towards those. I definitely think it is a good wish to have.
As I looked at it, I was like, in order to get these moves to trigger, I'd have to force the fiction, and I don't want to do that. So it was one of those things. It's like I'm happy with where the fiction's going, and I'm happy with where the game is going. I'm just like, oh, is there more? Are there more moves here that I'm missing? And they just didn't seem. I'm struggling to get them to fit into the fiction that we're telling. Yeah. Yeah. And I certainly don't want to force them, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Cool. Anything else, Stephen?
No.
Who's next?
I kind of
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Just going off of that, I kind of feel similarly. But I also wonder if sort of having to force them a little bit is kind of part of the point in a way. Because you think about, we think about like fiction like Battlestar Galactica and like how quickly things can change. I wonder if that's sort of why that's like that, or it could just be, weird, miss in terms of design stuff. Yeah, I mean, my more general wish is just kind of wanting some of the stuff to trigger, like the move I took. So the move I took last time, I feel like I took it after something like that had happened in the fiction, thinking like, okay, well, this will be fun to happen again. And then as I was just kind of looking through moves a little bit, I saw other things that were like, oh, this just happened. It would have been cool to have that move when it happened. So I almost feel like the moves are trailing behind the fiction, if that makes sense in a way. I mean, obviously you pick an advanced move when you pick an advanced move. But there's a lot of cool stuff there that I guess it's still working on figuring out how it all fits in with what we're doing, if that makes sense. I feel like I lost my train of thought a little bit there, but yeah.
I think I follow you, and I just glanced at, is it close ranks? Is that the move that you took?
Yeah.
You're supposed to decide on a quirk for your character.
Yeah, we did that last time. It was the intimacy with well, not necessarily just now I'm forgetting her name.
Our Alkma?
Okma, yeah. I think in general it's that Jaina is known for having affairs with people.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't recall that. I'm sorry. Cool. So your wish is along the lines of that the moves are coming after the fiction happens. Do you think there's anything proactively that we can do to angle better towards where the moves are lining up? I'm just.
Yeah, no, that's a good clarifying question. I think it's what you were saying in response to Stephen, right? Of just kind of taking a look at some of the stuff and trying to angle it more. And that's not just for you as GM, right? That's also like,
it's
for us as players. So
cool. Okay, thanks, Jax. I appreciate that. Ferret or Greg would like to go next with wishes.
I could go next. Yeah, I'll echo that a little bit because I took Thread the Needle after doing the sort of high stakes, no air, 0G stuff. So it does feel a little strange. I think to some degree, Steven and I both built a slightly more combat focused character. And I think, I think on the next one, we're maybe going towards that, either with destroying this Ithorian planet or some sort of rebel incursion. But I don't know. I don't know how I don't know how much we want to play out the destruction of the Ithorians or how much we want to do something. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's sort of my wish is that we've had this sort of interlude thing, and then I want to see it play off the other way.
Mhm.
And I want to figure out what the heck Tagashia's plans are because I just keep having her do weird things. But I'm sure we'll get there because we've got. I want to see that there's so many of these threads out there, right? Between like people trying to have other people killed. I just want to see it all come to fruition in a nasty way.
Cool. Payoffs. All right. Sawyer.
Yeah, I do sort of wish for more combat. I kind of think like the Ithorian thing, like I wanted to set it up as like a planet the rebels knew of. Maybe it was like a place for their base. So maybe like we fight the rebels next session. I think that can trigger some of these moves, like setting up with. I think we can set up Revs like the pilot for this mission for squadron leader. It can it hit my tactician move. It can hit some of the other moves that haven't been hit as much so far. But I think the Gemini makes it very like my love by the faithful hasn't been triggered much, but the others tend to be triggered like every session or like pretty regularly. But I think some of these moves are more like trigger friendly versus like a narrative pushing requirement. But yeah, just a bit more combat to as a Rev would say, destroy the not rebel terrorists.
Yeah. I was like, speaking about more combat, I was this close to having Soren just come after Tagashia. But I was like, that takes too much focus, and I want to see it play out. So now we'll just have Sword as like a thorn in Tagashia's side. Maybe we'll see. Cool. Thank you very much for that wish. Sawyer, since you went last with wishes, you get to go first with stars. Do you have any stars to hand out?
Yeah, I really loved how Rev proved herself, and I called her on her shit. Just like if you think I'm a shitty pilot, test it. Let's go. Let's see how good I am. And Tagashia, this like just the playing sick, and just bashing a mouse droid to death early on, and how she handled meeting with Soren, and just I can't wait for our problems to boil over, and it's just it seems like we're getting to there, and Jaina was just a treat to but I think my favorite bit was like someone has been setting us up. I need you to find them, otherwise you may be in trouble. It was like a perfect bit of manipulation. And thank you for the Hut voice simulator, Rich. And I never saw this as going the way it did, but here we are.
Who knew Huts were coming? You guys asked for Hut Cartel, so I'm very happy that worked out, or at least it seemed like it did. Thank you, Sawyer. Greg, what about you? Any stars?
A star to both Ferret and Jex for the scene where you both set up the tag scene there with shoot, what's her name, going after Bolt. Like that was just a beautiful like alignment of those two characters. That was great. I also enjoyed Rev being like, oh, you're calling me on my shit, let's go fly. That was great. And then for Soren, I thought was a really cool character, and I'm looking forward to him further complicating Togashiya from outside the fleet. I think that's going to be excellent. And then just a star to the system, because I feel like more than other games I have played, this hits a very good pacing with its Doom clock and XP per session. Like, I feel like we're really hitting a breaking point for most characters every session, or a couple. We get that nice focus and we get the advances at a nice rate. So I just think it's very smooth on that.
Smooth. Not sure if we get 7 sessions out of all these characters, but smooth. I have a star to hand out later. I'm just saying it now so I don't forget it. We move on to Jex. Any stars for you, Jex?
I think it's fairly similar to what I said last time, but I mean, some of this is the system. A lot of this, though, is how we're playing our characters, and I like that we're all loaded guns pointing at each other. But that also, this, I feel like this session complicated that too in really interesting ways, right? Like, now we're making alliances. We kind of started out with these relationships that sort of implied potential alliances, and then we tore those apart. And then now we're making these new ones. And it's just, I don't know, it's really fun. Side wish, I guess, sort of, is I would like to see some interaction between Jaina and Rev. I didn't think about that until just now. But everybody had such great moments. And I don't know, I'm having so much fun.
Excellent. Steven, bring us home. Any stars?
Yeah, so I had a really good time, seeing all the machinations that went on. It was like pointing Gloria at Bolt, and with Livia, and all these different, and Soren coming in. It was really good to watch the interactions with everyone, and to, be the kind of okay, it's kind of interesting to be the jerk in the story, right? And you're coming in and you're like, oh, I'm going to be the bad guy, kind of thing. So it was, I think everybody leaned into that and had great, what's the right word, machinations that they were dealing with. Another thing is, I want to I think it's a star to the system and people's mastery of it. I didn't realize some of the places where the system is pushing people into swapping out your relationship for your stat bonus, because in general the stat bonuses are very low and we've been failing a lot. And I saw more in this session than in others that people are like, oh, I can swap out my relationship if I'm going to support. And I'm like, that's what the system's trying to push you to do. And in addition, the system, all those starred moves that are they called core moves?
Cardinal
moves. Taking those, like the new move that I just took, is a cardinal move from a different playbook. And I think that is something, again, that the system is pushing you to do. So you do that kind of over and over, and it's kind of leading you towards the way that those characters act. So it's very interesting.
It is, and it's a reward for deeper play that you don't often see in a lot of PBTA games, which I think is clever. And I'm super happy that we're committed to, playing along enough to see a lot of this through.
Oh, that was another thing.
Yeah,
that was another thing I was going to say was, I think that a lot of the things that we said as wishes, as far as moves, I took a move just after that move happened. I think in long-term play, it'll end up coming back.
That's my hope too.
Yeah.
Is that we can see that again. But I've made a note to myself that I'm going to try to look at some of these more recently purchased moves, so that I have in the back of my mind to frame scenes that could lead to those kinds of moves. So that is cool. Awesome. This has been super fun. I quite look forward to this every week. And we got
Don't
some
you
more
have
sessions
a
coming. I've already forgotten it.
Okay.
I was like, I've already forgotten it. If I don't say it, it goes. Maybe when I rewatch this, I'll remember the star, and then I'll like scream it out to you guys when we meet next week. I don't know. It's gone. I was like struggling and then trying to hide that I'd forgotten it. Thank you guys so much for playing. Thanks for anyone who has watched, and we will continue the Last Fleet's journeys in a week. See you guys.